Now that we're able to access AWS programmatically with the CLI, we are also all set up in terms of downloading and installing Terraform. We can go ahead and get started and write some Terraform. All right. So the first thing that we're going to do is we already have our folder. That's what mkdir means, is make directory. We already have one. We're using DIP Terraform 1. All right, CD means change directory, and they're going into it. We already enter it. And then touch is making a new file. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Touch main.tf, which is a Terraform file. So if I open up my files over here, you can see I have main.tf. You can see it has a little Terraform logo. All right. The next thing that we need to do is we need to have our AWS provider in here, okay? So here, what they're doing, the way Terraform works, okay, is part of it is going to set up Terraform and set up that AWS is going to be the provider that we're going to be using in our Terraform plans, all right? And it's going to set up what region we want to communicate with for AWS. So I'm just going to paste it in as we have it, and then I'm going to edit. So we're using US East 1, at least that's what I'm using. So I'm going to make this US East 1, and the rest of it, I feel like I'm going to say it's okay. The next part of this block that they have here is that they have resource, and what this is doing is it's telling Terraform, all right, please create an AWS instance. All right, that's the word phrase that we would use for an EC2 instance. And then here's what they're naming that Terraform resource app server. All right, they're using this AMI. The instance type is going to be T2 micro, and the tags that are going to be associated with will have the name, would be the key of the tag, and then example app server instance will be the value of the tag. Okay, so they're going to do that. We don't want to start out by creating an instance, but just so I can show you how Terraform works, we'll go ahead and copy this over. All right, so let's go back to sorry. Also, please note in the last video, you can only retrieve your security access keys from AWS once. So if you close out before using them or setting them up or saving them in a secure way, then you will not be able to access them later. Okay. So I actually messed up right after my last video. I was like, oh crap, I need to export these variables, which is what you'll see here. I did that in the terminal right before I got started, and I went to do my secret access key, and I was like, ah, crap, I closed the page already. So all you have to do in that situation is delete the key that you created and create a new access key, and then just reconfigure your AWS CLI to use it, which is pretty simple. You just do AWS configure, and then it'll walk you through the same steps again. All right. But if you have any questions, go ahead and use the AWS CLI resource that I'm linking into this challenge, or reach out over Slack. All right. So now that we have the AWS instance here, let's go keeping on and see what we have. All right, so you can see that it's going to explain it to us. All right, so the Terraform block, all right, here contains Terraform settings, including the required providers that you will use to provision your infrastructure. So I'm using AWS to provision an AWS instance or an EC2 instance. All right. So Terraform is then going to install this provider from the Terraform registry. All right. And that is going to be defined here under the source. Okay. The provider block specifies our provider. So we're saying that we are going to require AWS, and now here we're saying, all right, our provider is AWS. You can see that you can use multiple provider blocks. So if you need, let's say you're creating a secret password or something like that, and then you want to store that in AWS secret service. All right, you might want to create a random number. So I'm pretty sure, let's look, Terraform random provider. So there's a random provider that you could use to create a random number, okay? And other things, for example. So see, here's a good example. So here they're creating a random ID, and then they're going to add, they're going to use that random ID here, if I'm looking super quickly at the docs. But more of the story is you can have multiple different providers, like Docker's a provider. You can do a lot of stuff with Terraform. All right. So the next thing that you want to do is you want to initialize the directory. So the way we do that is we go ahead and we say Terraform init. But what's cool about Terraform, before I click that, I'm going to say Terraform apply. Terraform apply is the command that you use anytime you want to like actually provision the resources that you just put in that main.tf file, okay? And you can see that it's going to yell at us saying like, hey, we don't have a dependency lock file. Please use Terraform init. So Terraform has really great error messages. So if you get an error message in Terraform, it's usually going to tell you what you need to do, and then you can just do it. You can also like then look up the error. So here it's going ahead and it's initializing my provider plugins, and it says that Terraform's been successfully initialized. All right, you can then see here that we have this Terraform folder with the providers in it, and then we have this Terraform lock file here. All right, and that is what the initialization command did. So the next thing that we want to do, if we scroll down, oh, apparently we can use Terraform format. Let's see if Terraform format does anything for me. No, but I also have the, oh, that's another good thing. So I do, where's my extensions? I do have the Terraform extension. So installed, so you can see that it does syntax highlighting and auto completion for Terraform. It's super handy. So that's likely why I don't need a format with the Terraform format command, because I already have my VS Code doing it for me. You can also use Terraform validate to validate whether or not your configuration works, and we have success. The configuration is valid. So let's see if I like got rid of this. It's already going to yell at me from my extension, but you can see it's also going to tell me what's going on. All right, so now we want to do our creating the infrastructure. So there's two commands that are associated with creating the infrastructure. The first one is Terraform plan. So like the command states, we're just going to be planning out what is going to be happening, but we're not going to do anything with it. So when I create this instance resource, you can see that this is what's happening underneath the hood, okay? And it's just saying that it's going to add one resource, it's not going to change anything, and it's not going to destroy anything, okay? So if we like it, then you can go ahead and see it says, if you like this, go ahead and run Terraform apply. So let's go ahead and try that. I am lazy sometimes, and I don't always do Terraform apply, because if you can see, you're getting the same output before, and then it's going to ask you to confirm with Terraform apply. All right, so again, Terraform has great error messages. So you can see here, creating EC2 instance, invalid AMI ID not found. All right, so we would go up and we would look, and the AMI ID is right here, and it's saying it's not found. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to go to my console. I'm going to pull this down, and I'm going to go to EC2, and I'm just going to find the AMI that I want to use, that I used manually. I'm just going to go ahead and find it here. So you can see the AMI is going to be right here, this guy. Let me see if I can try to pull that off. Oh, here it is. Okay. So I can go ahead and just copy this, and then I can place it in here and save it. All right, so I'm going to click Terraform apply again, and then I'm going to click yes, and hopefully it works. So now you can see that it's creating my AWS instance. The resource is named app server. And when I say the resource is named app server, I mean within my Terraform, it's named app server. It's not actually going to pop up named app server. It's going to pop up named example app server instance. So it's still creating. So let's go back to my EC2. Let's go over to instances. Let's take away running, and you can see that this is in a pending state. What's cool about Terraform is it's going to stay loading until it creates the resource and it's in a running state. So now that we're in a running state, you can see that it says apply complete, resources 1 added, 0 changed, 0 destroyed. All right, let's open this up and let's take a look. All right, so we have, see, our name example app server instance. That's what happens when you add a tag for name, by the way. And then you can see that we have a public IP address, but we didn't set that, okay? We just did like the initial set up an EC2 instance, okay? And as we learned in our last challenge, we wanna be much more specific in what we're doing and make sure we have all the right settings, okay? You can also see that when we go to the networking side of things that we just have this random VPC ID. If we go ahead and click into it, we'll see that it's just using, we only have one VPC and it's just using the default one. All right, so we can actually use this EC2 instance. It's not going to work how we want it to work, but that's okay because we learned a little bit about Terraform in the process. All right, so you can see, yep, it worked as nice. Okay. Oh, okay. If you want to see what like the state of your AWS resources are, you can do Terraform show. And then it's going to show you everything about the resources that you provisioned. So this can be helpful if you're trying to figure out like what setting you picked. It's like basically a way of looking at your resource from the terminal instead of the console. All right. Okay. You can also use this Terraform state list. I'm going to just copy that so I don't have to type it. And that's going to just give you like the name, like the specific resources, what you have. Okay. So here, then you can see that we're going to have some next cases. We're not going to follow Terraform documentation the whole time because we already kind of have an architecture for what we're looking for. So we're going to follow that diagram instead. All right, so now what do you want to do next? What's great about Terraform is not only can you apply, but you can destroy. So it probably took you 5-10 minutes of searching through your AWS console after challenge 1 to delete all of the resources that you created. You might have felt a little bit stressed, like, oh my gosh, are there still resources out there? Did I miss something? Am I getting charged? What's great about provisioning your infrastructure with Terraform is that you can just go ahead and write Terraform destroy here. It's going to ask you to confirm, and it's going to show you exactly, see, it's refreshing states. It's going to get everything, and then it's saying that we're going to destroy one resource. I can click yes, please destroy, and then it's going to start destroying it. So if I go to my you can see we have 0 instances running, and you can see that we have an instance that's being shut down, and then eventually after it shuts down, it's going to go to terminated. All right, which again, it's not going to do this until it's actually terminated. It's going to still show you every 10 seconds an update of what's going on with that resource's status. Okay. So this is a very, very simple introduction to Terraform. I am going to kind of leave it here because you can see that it's destroying. I'll just, oh, there we go. Destroy complete one resource, and you can see now it's terminated. All right, so this was Terraform basics. In the next video, we're actually going to start provisioning the resources that we need for this challenge. All right, see you in the next one.